Hi, everybody. I'm Diana. If you are looking for our February block of the month, week 4 project video, then you're on the right video. Again, hi, everybody. I'm Diana from Sew Uncommon. I'm the owner, designer, and educator for Sew Uncommon. We're so happy to have all of our returning guests with us. And if you're new to us here at Sew Uncommon, then welcome. We're thrilled to have you as well. In this video, I'll be going over our project of the month for week 4 of February 2023. If you're brand new and you've never done any piecing in the hoop or quilting in the hoop, go back through weeks 1, 2, and 3 of February. You can even check out January or any of our other videos on here to kind of walk you through that process. And we'll be happy to help you. You can always leave comments in the notes, or you can contact me at my email address. So here we are, week 4 of February, and it's project week. So let's just look really quickly behind me. That is the crossover star. That was the block of the month. If you haven't gotten your free pattern and designs for your embroidery machine, please check that out at the website. They're there available all through the year. If you haven't gotten January's yet, you can get January's as well. All of the instructions, templates if they are needed, and all of the digital files are available. Those downloads for the blocks of the month are free, so please help yourself to those. Also, the quilting pattern I'm going to show you today is available on the website as well, so you can check that out if you like. So without further ado, let's see what we turned the block of the month into. I'm actually going to hold it up because I think you can see it better. So this month we did a table topper, or you could use this as a wall hanging. I chose a really spring fabric. A fabric really works well with spring, and so mine is going to be a little wall hanging because I have a little place in my home where it'll hang beautifully. The projects at the end of each month are relatively small. We will do a couple of throw quilts throughout the year, but these end of month projects are relatively small because at the end of the month, we'll be doing a one big, huge quilt. Okay, so I didn't want to fill you up with quilts every single month because I don't know about you, but I'm not up for doing a full-size quilt every month, right? So, but this is it, the crossover star wall hanging or table topper. Now, I chose to do mine in a batik fabric this month because I know some of you have been curious, and we've talked about batiks in piecing in the hoop, and they work beautifully. So without further ado, let's bring up my other camera and let's take a look at it. Now, I know the whole thing doesn't fit under the camera, but you can see the best of it. And so basically it is one full crossover square, crossover star square, and then I just added a border to the sides. All of that measurement and everything is in the project. If you wish to get the project, of course, you'll find that at the website as well. And then I've done some interesting kind of quilting with it. I did the quilting that I chose for this month, the one that I created for this month, which was called Bouquet of Flowers. I chose to put the single flower medallion in all of the 5 squares that make up the star, the center and the 4 points. Then the bouquet of flowers I put in the 4 corners. That was the secondary design in the set. I know it's a little hard to see because I went ahead and quilted it in the color that I wanted because this is actually going to get hung in the house. And then I chose a different batik for my backing. Now you're going to notice something here. There's very little quilting on the back of this. I typically don't do a lot of quilting on the back of my table toppers. I don't see a need for them. So I quilted this with just my pattern and my batting, and then I added my backing fabric. And what I did with that is I also added just the tiniest bit of stitching for quilting at the sewing machine. And all I did there, let me bring this in here for you, is I started in this corner, and with a 3.0 stitch length, I just quilted down basically a stitch in the ditch all the way around. And then I just added a little bit of stitching right there from corner to corner. Now, if you're worried about doing that sewing with your embroidery machine as the quilting, don't be. I'm going to share some tips with you right now. So that's the project. Let's set that piece aside and let's just bring in one of the crossover star blocks. Okay, this is another one of the blocks, just like you just saw in my finished project. And here's what I want to show you. I chose the medallion flower. This is my template that I used for that. And I put that, there you go, yeah, you're seeing this, in the center and started the center first, lined up my needle using my machine to that very corner or that very point, then removed this and stitched it out. Then I did my two sides, and then I did my top and my bottom with the medallion flower piece, the single flower. You can see it a little bit better right there on the, there you can see that just a little bit better now under there. And of course you can see these really well at the website where the pictures are. And then this template is the little bouquet of flowers that I used for my four corners. So let me bring this up, and this arrow tells me where my top is. So actually turn that around. There we go. And so then I stitched the first, the second, the third, and the fourth. Okay, that was all done in the hoop on my embroidery machine. So all the heavy duty stitching for this entire piece is done on our embroidery machine like we do all the time. The part that I did on the project that was sewn on the sewing machine is I sewed my blocks together on the sewing machine, because as a 15-inch block, that doesn't fit in anybody's hoop. But it's really simple, and in some of the previous videos, I show you how to do that, how you use the guideline on the back of your block, this sewing line, as your guide for sewing everything together. So you'll see that in some other videos as well. And then, like I told you, I just stitched with the 3-inch stitch length all the way around there. Now, and then I did these corners. Now, some of you might be freaking out about this idea, like I said, about doing it on the sewing machine, but don't, because I'm going to share with you one of the oldest ways that we have always quilted. By hand, by sewing machine, and that is to mark our squares. Okay, you just need a pencil or your favorite marking. Let me grab a pencil out of here. There we go. I just like using a number 2 pencil a lot of the times because I know it'll wash out when I go to wash, and it's so light you can't see it really hard. And what I did, let me move this one out of the way, and let me just bring in a square, a single half square triangle. So if I were going to mark this, what I'd do is I'd take my ruler and I'd put it from corner to corner, and I would just make myself a line all the way across. Now you can use a heat away pen, a wash away pen, whatever you like, but I like that pencil. And the other thing is with the pencil, I mean, I have not washed the main project yet, and you can't see the pencil because it's just so light. And then when I go to my sewing machine, I just literally sew right on that line. So I can mark this any way I like. Let's bring the full project back in. So if I didn't want to use this custom design that I've used, I could have just done squares or X's, or turned those X's into stars by doing corner to corner, top to bottom, and side to side. and done my quilting that way. Let me tell you my biggest tip about quilting. I don't know when it was, but it's been years ago now. We got really into quilting with our embroidery machines or our sewing machines and quilting with long arms. And we got to the point where we felt it necessary to literally fill every square inch of our quilts with quilting. And if you like that, more power to you. Go for it. It's not a problem. However, quilting doesn't need to be heavy like that. I am someone who doesn't really like a lot of heavy quilting. I like my quilting a little lighter. So using my quilting patterns on my main block and then just adding this little bit on my border was all I needed. And because this is a table topper or a wall hanging, all you see on the back is I use the same color thread in my bobbin as I used in my top thread. And you just see the little bit all the way around. You see where I've sewn on my binding. You see this center square where I went around, and you see the little pieces there, but hardly at all. And that's really all I need, because quilting really only holds the 3 layers of the quilt together. You can make it as decorative or non-decorative as you like. So don't freak out about the idea of having to fill in all this little strip over here. From time to time, I will put out some designs for us that are for borders, but or you could do a edge to edge all over kind of a design if you wanted, from side to side and top to bottom. That would be fine. But I feel like this is beautiful without all of that extra quilting, because I want my piecing, I want my fabrics, I want those to stand out a little more. So that's why I did that. Now, in the project sheet, you're told that for this border to choose, that I chose the same fabric that I used as this B fabric in the star. And I love how that turned out. I could have used the A fabric if I liked, or like I've chosen to use a completely different third batik for my backing and binding. I could have used that as my border and then maybe backed it and binded it with this lighter one if I want. Play with it. See what you like. See what looks good to your eye. And if you love it, trust me, that's all that matters, is that you love it. So that's how I did the quilting on this and how this comes together. Really super simple, right? Just one star. Add your top and your bottom borders, and then your 2 side borders. And then you're ready to quilt it, bind it, and be done with it. I would love to see what some of you do with this pattern. You have the block pattern. This block will show up in our quilt at the end of the year. But if you wanted to do, so this is 15 by 15 inches, just the star block, not the borders. So let me do a wee bit of math here. 15 times 12. So if you did 180 inches divided by 12. Okay. So you could do 3 or 4 across, 3 or 4 down, and have yourself a really nice throw quilt if you wanted, or you could do a whole bunch of them and make them so your quilt is the size that you want. Let me bring myself back in. There we go. So you could control how you put these together in the number that you make them all scrappy and make a beautiful quilt, make them all look the same, and then quilt it whatever you want. Because remember, you're the artist. It's your project, and you can do what you like. Okay. This is the fabric that I chose for my backing and binding. It was just a darker batik, but it blends really nicely with the other batiks. And you can see there, the quilting looks nice on the batik. Batiks work out really beautiful for quilts. And the other reason I wanted to show this to you in the batik was because at our Q&A last week, someone had asked if they could use batiks, and yes, that answer was you sure can. So when you do this, please post your photos with the hashtag #SewInCommon, or go to our not our YouTube page, our Facebook group, Sew in Common, right? It's all Sew in Common. And add your picture. We would love to see what you do with the final project. And remember, the patterns and everything can be found at Okay, I don't know. We just lost power for a moment. We're in the middle of a major snowstorm, our first. So it's March, what, 3rd, 4th? What is it? It's the 3rd. We're just now getting our first winter snowstorm here where I'm at in Illinois. And we lost everything. So let me say goodbye, and I will see if this is still. It looks like it's still recording. It says it is. So, all right, folks, enjoy making your mat, and we will see you next time. And we start with the March block of the month. So see you soon. Bye for now, everybody. And as always, go sew life beautiful. Bye-bye.